Unless I've been living under a rock for the last 23 years, I can't help but feel that there's a clear blurring of the lines at play here. Yet again, blurring the lines between refugees and migrants. There is a difference between allowing refugees into your country and allowing en masse migrants, but they've become one and the same in recent times, as we've all seen with the migrant crisis, formerly known as the refugee crisis, and the same thing is happening right before my eyes in this video. They're talking about migrants, but kind of alluding and going along the talking points as if it was refugees in question, but it's not, is it? It's migrants. Yet again, what's fucking new? See what I mean? It's very easy though for somebody to decide to up and leave their country of origin, especially in the current day that we live in just now, when African men can decide that they want to pretend to be Syrian children and then they fuck off on a boat and come over to Europe. The difference being, of course, they are exploiting the Syrian refugee crisis, and it's been pretty obvious that's what's been going on for the last few years or so. It's very easy for somebody to become a migrant. If somebody from Scotland decides to go and live in England, they're a migrant. But the difference is here that the only reason that there's been such leeway that's been given in recent times is because this is supposed to be a refugee crisis. But it's not refugees from Syria that Europe has been seeing. It is people, mainly from Africa, at large. And I'm just on this like, this is fucking mental. 48% of migrants are women. Oh, that's great. What about the other half? Most migrants move through safe and legal means. Tell that to the 100,000 per year that enter Europe illegally. Or well, they get halfway across the Mediterranean and they're picked up by our they're rescued, quote unquote, by our coast guards. Yes. What a lot of fucking shit. Very desperate to allow the migration flow to continue. I mean, that should be ringing alarm bells in itself. Nonetheless, where have we heard this before? Safe and regular migration. Safe and legal ways to get to Europe. Where have we heard this before? 2017. Juncker calls for migrants to have legal ways to reach Europe. We have to provide those who want to come and are able to come and whose situation makes it possible for them to come with legal paths to get to Europe, he told the German broadcaster. I believe that if we don't offer legal ways of emigrating to Europe and immigrating within Europe, we will be lost. He also said that if migrants who are generally speaking poor and needy are no longer able to enter the house of Europe through the front door, they'll keep making their way in through the back window. Wow. It's becoming more and more apparent as the months roll on and the supposed migrant crisis continues to be anything but a crisis, and our politicians seem to be very, well, their attitude towards said crisis seems to be very lackadaisical, turning a blind eye as if everything seems to be going according to plan. And it's mind-boggling for lack of better words. I mean, get this is This is Junker again. Enhancing safe and legal pathways to Europe. A truly united European migration policy also means that we need to look into opening legal channels for migration. If there are more safe and controlled roads open to Europe, we can manage migration better and make the illegal work of human traffickers less attractive. Now, anybody that follows my channel, or if this is the first video you've ever watched of mine, I do not believe that these so-called human traffickers even exist. It's pretty obvious they don't exist. When have you ever seen one of them? It makes no sense. They've got a pretty cushy job if they do exist. But nonetheless, it's very convenient if we can make it. We can take the job off the smugglers. We can make it so these people can come over here safely and legally. Just to put two fingers up at the smugglers? Should you not be trying to figure out ways to stop them coming over to begin with? Oh, I forgot, you could either arrest them or send them back, but that's not been happening, has it? Of course that's not what's happening. Nonetheless, the past few days the UN has been getting an F-ton of stick for their utter gaff, for lack of better words again, regarding their migration plans, their latest revelation, which is basically just an undertone of Kalergi plan. And it goes on, the President has defended the landmark Migration Compact. The Compact allows enormous flexibility for countries to use the parts of the Compact that can be adapted to their sovereign decisions in existing legal frameworks. She described the Global Compact for Migration as a landmark agreement which will help ensure that migrants everywhere in the world are their rights safeguarded and treated fairly, not taking into consideration, though, that the majority of these migrants that we're talking about here are coming from Africa and the Middle East, and they're all wanting to go to Europe, and that's the plan. It's not like there's going to be people from Europe going to Africa and the Middle East. Oh no, this is a one-way journey. En masse. The Compact, which is due to be adopted at a conference in Marrakesh, so there you go, Marrakesh Agreement as well. I mean, everything seems to be falling perfectly into place here. December sets clear objectives to make migration safe, orderly and regular, addresses the concerns of signatory governments and reinforces national sovereignty. Migration is part of the way the world develops, interacts and interconnects. We have seen lately unusual migration flows that need to be tackled and addressed. And the response is precisely the Global Compact. So, you want to address unusual migration flows of illegal immigrants that have been coming to Europe en masse for the last 3 or 4 years. You want to address safe and legal for them to get here. So, effectively, giving the green light for even more than already make the journey to begin with. So fucked up. So it says here, the Global Compact expresses our collective commitment to improving cooperation on international migration. Migration has been part of the human experience throughout history, and we recognise that it is a source of prosperity, innovation and sustainable development in our globalised world. Yeah. Europe. We're talking about Europe here. Everybody come to Europe. Yes. It is crucial that the challenges and opportunities of international migration unite us rather than divide us. The Global Compact is the product of an unprecedented view of evidence and data gathered during an open, transparent and inclusive process. We shared our realities and heard diverse voices, enriching, oh my god, these words, man, and shaping our common understanding of this complex phenomenon. What phenomenon? It's absolutely 100% orchestrated. These people wouldn't have been entering Europe illegally if they weren't being picked up by NGOs and Coast Guards. This could have been stopped a long time ago. I have been saying as much for the last 2 or 3 years. And now a lot more people are starting to realise what I have been saying for the longest time. And like people before I even started making videos have been saying for the longest time. This whole thing has been orchestrated, and if this comes into effect, it's going to make the process fucking legal. Easier, quicker probably, more effective, but legal. Whereas for just now, it's been absurd. For the most part, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of African migrants pretending to be Syrian refugees, and nobody was able to stop them. Even though they were all illegal, they weren't sent back. Oh no. But there was an uproar. So now they want to make it legal. And they're effectively giving the green light, which is going, more of them are going to decide to make the journey themselves. A lot more when it becomes easier, safer, and above all else, legal. Fucking unreal, like. Aims to mitigate the adverse drivers and structural factors that hinder people from building and maintaining sustainable livelihoods in their countries of origin, and so compel them to seek a future elsewhere. I'm sorry, but this is what I was on about at the beginning of this video, the blurring of the lines here, right? Because the doors should not be open to anybody that decides, I don't like my country, it's a shithole, I'm going to go to Europe. There is a big difference between somebody deciding to up and leave for whatever reason it may be, and somebody that's fleeing war. There's a difference, but of course they're going to make it so there is no difference. I'm sorry, the way that they talk about this. You know what I mean? What happened to the Syrians? The Syrian refugees? Are we not even going to talk about them anymore? Because it's all about migration now, yes. It's no longer hiding the fact. Nonetheless. While addressing risks and challenges for individuals and communities in countries of origin, transit and destination, no country can address the challenges and opportunities of this global phenomenon. Oh, sorry, I've already read that bit, sorry. It seeks to address legitimate concerns of communities while recognising that societies are undergoing demographic, economic, social and environmental changes at different scales. Demographic changes. They are really being upfront about it at this point, are they not? This can't come to fruition, surely not. Realise this commitment. We will draw from the following actions. Promote mutual respect for the cultures, traditions and customs of communities and destinations and of migrants by exchanging and implementing best practices and integration policies, including on ways to promote acceptance of diversity, this forced multicultural diversity, that cultural enrichment that they so desperately want Europeans to become the victims of. You know, I could spend all day talking about this absolute lunacy, but you can look at it yourself. You'll see that there's not really any mention at all of the Europeans at all. Absolutely no mention of them at all. Yet they continuously bring up words like transit and destination. And the way that they talk about these migrants is as if Europe desperately needs them. When in reality, what's going to happen if this is to get the green light is literally will give the green light to all of Africa to decide to jump on the next fucking boat and enter Europe legally. Oh yes. And hate crime laws and all the fucking perks of the day will be put in place to make sure that they integrate, quote unquote. Oh, I don't know, man. This is just sinister as they come, man. Leaving that notes. Peace.